Oh, welcome to the Honest Wargamer. I'm your host, Rob. Welcome to some midday madness. The stream streak continues on the road to 1,000. That's what we're doing. 1,000 days, 1,000 years of the Honest Wargamer. I'm joined today by the lovely Mr. Tom Layton. Tom, hey, how are you?
It's true. It's true. I'm good, thanks, mate. How are you doing? I heard your back was put out a little bit the other day. How's it feeling today?
That was last week, and that's mainly
Okay.
from carrying the weight of the entire Warhammer community on my
Oh
shoulders,
shit. Okay.
and trying to slowly, like the beast toward Bethlehem, get them towards somewhere where we can have a bit of a laugh. That's what we can do. That's
Fair
what
enough.
I'm doing.
Fair play, mate. Fair play. I've been watching a lot of the Super Story stuff, and I've been specifically watching what's the name of the guy that's been doing the breakdowns afterwards on his own channel?
Little Chris.
Yeah, I'm sure he is, but I've never met him, so I don't know.
Well,
But yeah,
him
yeah.
and his dad play Warhammer together, so it's
Oh,
Little Chris,
cool.
Big
Nice.
Chris. They even have played.
Okay.
Big Chris played in the Welsh national team for Age of Sigmar Six Nations,
I
and
approve.
Little Chris played in the Northern Irish team.
Yeah, I was gonna say I couldn't tell which Chris it was, but he sounds about as Welsh as I do, so it works. I can't really complain about that. But maybe doing some good work, mate.
Yeah, his dad is maybe a bit Welsh. Lord of the Gods, thank you for subscribing, and thank you everyone. Is it the Welsh AOS team with the dodgy dice? No, Neil, it's not them. Tropic Hammers, hello once again from the tropical north of Queensland. Tuning in as I finish up some Eradicators. Thanks for everyone for tuning in. We will be live again later about 5:30 as we build up to the announcement of the. There's a comic. No, that's not. I mean animation. There's an animation later. Hi, Diadrin. I hope the Bad Moon Cafe, the terrain at the Bad Moon Cafe looks way better than the Warhammer World terrain. I was just looking at that today. That looks really nice. It does. It does.
I haven't seen the Bad Moon terrain, and I don't know which iteration of a Warhammer World terrain you're referring to.
Not
Because we didn't
the,
talk about that on the Thursday show, but it looks like it looks a little bit like they've put a lot more terrain out for Warhammer World, right?
in the one press release picture on Twitter.
At least it shows what what's correct, what they know what they need, right?
On one table.
Yeah, they know what's the correct one to put out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Know what the
They're
correct
like,
one is.
this is the one we show people. Don't show, like, they know which is the right one. They just don't necessarily have, yeah, you've got it.
They
Absolutely.
just don't have a resource for this. Why not? Yeah.
Skinny Boots, thank you for resubscribing. Appreciate you. Forgot about the reveal. Big hype for more streams. Yeah, so that's going to be at 5:30 later. So hang out with us there. And then of course, you can join me and Darren and also the lovely Speckles tomorrow, who'll be doing commentary for the wicked match between Legio and and the Marauders. I got to tell you, Tom. Unleashed 4. Thanks for donating 20 quid to the show. I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. I'm close to absolutely broke, and that's unbelievably kind. Thank you. Not to lie, that will definitely buy my dinner next week. So that's fucking brilliant. Unbelievable. I will, Tom. I know you asked how I was, so I'm just gonna take a moment to kind of talk about something I'm proud of. I want to say thanks Unleashed a lot. That's really, really lovely of you. Honestly, I yesterday's show with the list reveal. Might be one of the happiest. I walked away from that. I was talking to Matt, because intern Matt's been here over the weekend, helping me out. Easily, I think, one of the best shows I've ever done. And the reason is we got these really cool graphics with these really cool stats and stuff, which I thought looked really good. It was exciting to review lists before an event, and how they worked for a pairing, as opposed to sometimes I do list review shows. They are fun, but then after you've done 30, you're like, fuck this, fucking no, don't want to do this. But because you knew it was going into a match. It was really interesting kind of revealing all 8 lists and then going, right, what happens when this one plays against this one? What are we going to, how do we think that's going to go? I don't know. I just walked away from that really happy. I don't know if anyone else watched it, but I thought it was...
Oh, mate, I haven't had a chance to watch that one specifically yet, but I will go back and watch it because it's one of the reasons why I really like team play, right? Because it's what you do effectively every single round, where you and your teammates get together and you have to work out exactly how the pairing is going to function and how it's working from your side. But rather than from doing it from a neutral perspective, you're doing it from one side, and it's really fun to do. It's why I'm such a big advocate of team play, because we do the squadcast, and it's not necessarily the biggest mover and shaker, but I do it because I genuinely believe in team play.
Yeah.
And clearly, so do you guys, which is why the Super Series is,
Well, and I got to say a lot. I
It's
have to
great.
say a lot of that has come from you.
Oh, thank you.
For a bit of a history, 3.5 years ago, I put out who wants to come and do these shows with me. Nick, the wonderful Nick, the hobby legend, and also probably a better gamer than both me and Tom put together. If he ever tries
I've
to.
actually said this in private as well. I think if Nick took meta lists, he would beat the shit out of me.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Neither of us don't think Nick is the best of the three of us. Yeah, but also we've all got the topic of today's show is we're going to be talking about opinions and how I'm really proud of the conversation that us three, as people who didn't really know each other much and know each other a lot better now, which I'm really proud of that I've got you guys as friends. We're able to have these really kind of adult conversations and conversations that work quite nicely. So I'm really happy about that. I just want to thank Bombsquig for resubscribing, and I want to thank Skinny Boots for donating £10.92 to the show. That's fucking wicked, Skinny Boots. Thank you. I will be having a cake with my. Well, I'm not spending 20 quid on dinner. 20 quid
have
literally.
Your bottle of water with your dinner.
No, there's just vegetables to make in stir fries for the week. But yeah, Tom, you talking about Skinny Boots, massive appreciation there. Huge, huge thank you. Magic Horn says, caught the VOD last night, professional, informative, and still very entertaining. Well done. Big shout out to Adam as well. Big shout out to Adam for doing that with me because he actually was huge in that. So he was really good. Adam behind the scenes is the sweariest, probably one of the most obnoxious human beings to spend any time with. But as soon as he switches it on, yeah. And by the way, I appreciate that level of obnoxious. That's what I'm on. Switches on, he's really good, really good. Anyway, so that's less about that. So Gitley, big love. Adam is a champ. Adam's great. He did a great job. So one of the things, Tom, AdMech has just been released today.
Yeah.
Let's kind of have a quick talk through on that, shall we? In some ways, hey Tanner Herbert. We don't have to talk through much because obviously all the preview copies are out at the moment, right?
Yeah. I've seen the Goonhammer article already, which is written by Corrode, who sometimes pops up in the chat. We've had him on stream before, and I think it's actually quite well summarized by Innes's tweets, which we always like to refer to Innes's Twitter feed on this show.
The only way to do it.
Again. So he's broken it down to two parts. His tweet is, quote, understanding the new AdMech codex for beginners. Skitari, everything combos, Iron Striders are bonkers, and 20-man Skittle squads will fuck you up. I don't know what a Skittle is, but we'll find out, I'm sure. Second part, Cult Mechanicus, ram your head into the wall, and about 18 iterations in, you'll understand their keyword requirements. So, by the looks of it, and by the length of the Goonhammer article, there is a lot of convoluted stuff. So it feels like you could make a really long flowchart of what works with what in the Cult Mechanicus section, which means I'm actually going to read a book, and I'm very disappointed because I have to. Because it sounds like it's very much a lot of nesting. This goes with this, if this, then this, if this, then this, and so on, and just building it in. And it sounds like it's actually a really complex book, not in terms of it's hard to play, as in it's hard to write a list because there's so many weird combos in there, right?
Yeah. Yes. Thank you. Yes, agreed. Thank you to Born Again Manchild for donating £10. Also to the Dinner Fund. That's incredibly kind. All of you have been way too kind this week and wonderful people. Thank you. Means from the bottom of my heart. The Skittles, Tom. It means loads to me, thanks. The Skittles are the Skitari. Now, one of the interesting things I always thought about the Skitari was they sell them in boxes of 10, and then that's all you're taking. Whereas I saw Falcon tweet today, it's a Skitari, a Horde army now?
I saw that too, yeah.
And I'm like, are they? Because I have a lot of Skitari. You generally end up with a lot of Skitari. You start collecting box, you've got a shit ton of Skitari. If you ever, I did... went and bought yourself loads of Pelestats, I think that's what they're called. But basically, you got the Forge Rod upgrade kits, of which I did 30 of each. Yeah, they look wicked. They've been in a box for 4 years because they're awful. Yeah,
but Chicken Walkers.
The Chicken Walkers might come back out the box. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, now as well, mate. You've been prescient on that one, mate. You really do get all your information, way in advance.
8 years, 8 years ahead.
You knew what colour to paint them immediately. Look at that.
So the I mean, exciting. I'm sure we're going to hear opinions galore on the AdMech book, and we're going to talk about it, obviously, on Thursday, so looking forward to that. And I mean, that's some pretty hot news, as well as the animation later. But just to kind of bring us onto our subject, you felt unhappy the other day when we had a chat on Thursday about... Do you want to talk to me about how you feel? Go on.
I feel like it's less a case of being unhappy. I just didn't feel great about it, because one of the reasons why I really like doing the show specifically is because we are able to have a good and honest conversation with each other about what we actually think about the game. And one of the things that I think I'm seeing a lot, specifically in the Warhammer community, not just here but also on Twitter as well, is people taking tropes and then just running with them and assuming that's correct. Like one obvious example is people think that I think that Americans are terrible at 40k.
Okay,
now,
but behind the scenes, you've told me you just think they're terrible people.
Yes.
It's a joke.
Exactly. Yes.
Oh man, sorry, Tom. I just need to thank Lure of the Gods for donating 20 quid to the show.
Mate, that's perfect. Like, I thought that was like obviously enough sarcasm because I got it for a start. So hopefully the chat will get it too.
Thank you, Lure of the Gods. That's again super kind of you. You're all so great. So wonderful people. Sorry, Tom, carry on.
No, you're absolutely fine. Like I mentioned this to you guys privately the other day because I had an interaction on Twitter, which is like fine because the guy's just a nutter. And like to make himself look a little bit better, he'd basically just taken exactly what I'd said, written down in a tweet, and then just added the word "just" in there, just to make him look more sympathetic. Because clearly you can't take what I've actually said and like discuss that. You have to modify it to No, I don't even know. It's whatever.
No. Continue with the thought, Tom.
I don't know how to describe that. I think another thing that I had issues with yesterday, it's not necessarily that I had issues. I was just struggling a little bit last week because I was talking a little bit about, a good example is when I was talking about John Lennon. Now, I'm going to spell this out because it wasn't well received as far as I could tell in the chat or just in general, is that I think John Lennon is a better player than I am, having watched him, because I'm capable of producing an eye test. Also, from everything I've heard about people who've played him, he's a really, really nice dude. I think what I was specifically saying was that I don't think you can make an argument that he's the best player in the world. And that's all I'm saying. That's not to say he can't be. That's not to say he isn't. That's to say I don't see how you could argue it. And that's specifically what I'm saying. And
go on, you carry on.
No, fine. And so when I then look and see, just NA hates lol, and so many bad takes without elaborating on what the bad takes are exactly or correcting the bad takes, because that's part of why we stream. We stream so that we can join in the conversation with the Twitch chat, right? Mm-hmm. That's why they're here. And I feel like we've lost that a little bit. Chat, argue with me. Essentially.
No, I don't. I think what your complaint is, like, if it's a complaint at all, like, is one of the things that's going to come up for all of us as content creators, but I think all of us for the next however many years. But also is because of the nature of how we do shows. We don't do output. We're not just like, there you go, like this is a meme video. Or this is a game. Obviously, when we do commentary of tournaments, that's content where really the crowd aren't involved in the conversation. But what we have, I think, and I think what I'm very proud of, is we have conversations with an audience who have conversations back with us. And I've learned as much from the Twitch chat and my co-hosts as I hope. Well, I doubt they've learned anywhere near as much from me. Like, it's an incredible group of people, and I think that's one of the really good things about our community. The issue is the general consensus in any fandom, which is what we're in, is generally hyperbolic. And also, like, you can, like, someone will be like, Rob, you fucking cheeky bastard, that's you. And I'm like, 100%. Yeah? Like, I've made some big hyperbolic statements and calls before, and that's fine. Because, like, one of the things about the discourse is sometimes we just make memes and we just have a laugh. And it's just fun. Like we started off with, you were like, I don't think NA players are rubbish. And I'm like, well, you think they're terrible people. Like, I can't help it because we're trying to have... But I think the issue is if someone approaches this and thinks... There's definitely a very heavy level of certainty about how we talk about things. Yeah. Like, but like one of the things like we didn't explore, and I don't think I gave us time to explore, is explain to me about the eye test. Explain to me what you mean by that, because that's one of those things that I think maybe we didn't pick up well enough on Thursday. Talk to me about that.
So when I watch a game or what have you, or I see what someone's doing, it's basically about whether I think they're thinking for themselves and evolving the game, and how far ahead of everybody else I think they are, right? In terms of how they play, in terms of how they build lists. Here's a good example. I look at Sean Naden. Sean Naden's list, what was the event he won where his list was technically illegal?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, but yeah.
But the point I made on that list was that he'd effectively built a list where it was as many little small units as he physically could. No one was doing that. But when you look at it and you think about it, you think, holy crap, that's a great way to play the game.
Yeah.
And it's not like someone else has thought of it first and told him. He is on the cutting edge. I still think Sean Naden's is one of the best players we've ever seen in 40k, based off what I've seen him play in person. I've seen him play on stream, and I've seen him build lists. When I'm watching Manny play, Manny plays a very specific style. He takes his stuff and runs it down the middle of the board and just charges at you and loses his entire army, but he'll take all the objectives off you. But holy crap, that's a great way to play. I love it. He's thought about that. He's on the edge. He knows what he's doing. He's thinking about it as he goes. And also, you'll see things when you're playing, like micro decisions that you wouldn't even think about.
Well, so let me... Oh, go on, Karen.
And see them do something that I don't even think about, I think, wow, that's really impressive. But if I know it's coming, it's not as impressive, right? That's what I kind of mean by the eye test.
Well, so let me break this down for you, because I think there's have you ever watched? There's a YouTube channel called Every Frame of Painting. Have you ever watched that?
I've never heard of it, but I'll look at it now. 1 second.
Yes, okay. Oh, hey, Tom's dad. Oh, I love Tom's dad. He's great.
He brought me a massive pile of pancakes and bacon live on the stream.
That's exactly what you want. More? Can we get some love for Tom's dad in the chat, please?
This is going straight on the Ogre Tribe's WhatsApp group.
That is what you call service. No one's brought me any fucking food at all. Right. So yeah, the YouTube channel Every Frame of Painting is about, like, I really love videography. It's one of the things, like one of my like other passions that I rarely talk about much. And one of the things I really like about it is that you can do so much with it. Like it's such an expressive form of like of art. But really, like, there's a lot that happens inside of it that really the viewer doesn't understand. Like when you're watching a movie, for instance, you might not see what necessarily either the editor or the videographer are doing. However, what I like about Every Frame of Painting is that I'm still not in any way a very good videographer. Like, I like it. I think I can do quite a nice job at some stuff, but generally, no. Like, and then when I watch that stuff like that, I get someone who's so deeply passionate about something that I'm passionate about. So this is the thing. I'm passionate about it, probably more than everyone listening. Not more than everyone listening now, that most of the people listening now. And I'm not good at it. And then I watch an expert who's deeply passionate about it, and they tell me things that I never even thought about, like loads of things, blocking, all sorts of stuff, right? And one of the things that was happening to me the other day was I was explaining to someone about what I like about Warhammer and what I like about the gaming, and I was going into these really expressive terms describing Darren Watson's game in London. And I was describing how he played this incredible game with his Skaven, with his Change Host against Jack's Skaven, and how the way he thought about playing was amazing. Now, I think that I'm in a pretty small percentage of people that would really be able to grasp what he was doing as he was doing it, but he was still outplaying my ability to play, and even my ability to grasp. That's really important. Yeah. But what I hope my job is, and what your job should be, and I think the issue is you don't have, everyone in the world doesn't have to listen to you. Like, sorry, what I mean, doesn't have to understand the way you understand it. What you have to do is you have to find a way to translate that to everyone else. Like, when I'm excited and watching Darren doing this thing, I need to be like, he's done this thing. All I need to do is explain it. I don't need to teach people how to do it. I'm not a coach. I don't need to, that's my point. Like, sometimes when we're having the conversations with the chat, they 100% get what we're saying. because our chat, I think, is a very great chat. Like our YouTube viewers, like our podcast guys, they're people who get it. That's why they listen to like some pretty high-end chat sometimes. Like, that's where they're at. We're not just like, I love the color green and like this has got a nice, like, I don't know, shoulder pad or something. It's not really what we do. So they get it, and that's our audience. So I think you need to be less bothered about the people who don't really fit into that category, and find the fun for yourself in expressing that thing, because the conversation is going to maintain and continue to be hyperbolic all the time, right?
Yeah.
Like, you'll hear statements like, this is the best player in the world, this is the best player, or this is the best thing, or like whatever. Like Drukhari are genuinely like statistically broken. Like, that's the situation. Now, your point had been on the show for a while is that you think that there is some counterplay, which I understand. Like, it's fine, but like the conversation really should be like, should the numbers be that high? And the answer is the conversation should be that high, right?
I think my thinking on that has evolved. Though, is the thing, and Jim alluded to it a couple of weeks ago as well. He was talking about it on his own podcast with you, actually. But my thinking has evolved with this, in that I think there is counterplay, but I don't think it's counterplay for everybody.
Yeah.
And I think that's a problem. I think if the bottom 60% of players, let's say the top 40% can't deal with this faction at all, and it just rumbles their way through, and basically just taking the faction allows you to come top 40 in a 100-player field, that's a problem.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be able to do that. So
what do you think? So what do you think you'd like to see? Like, do you think like you haven't expressed yourself well enough, or do you think
I think that's part of it.
Right.
I don't know. It's difficult for me to articulate myself in this one. I think that's part of the problem, really, isn't it? Really, it's kind of.
If you don't feel that you are, like, but like,
I feel like a lot of the entire issue that I am personally having with this at the minute is that a lot of people, just in general, and it doesn't just 40k, this goes for life. It just seem to take what they think you mean rather than what you actually said.
Yes. The intent, although there's a good conversation about that, right? Like your intent is X, but they hear Y, maybe out of context.
Yeah.
Then maybe try and express yourself well enough, but that doesn't seem to be the issue. Like, because people are just always going to do that. Like, I think, I think ultimately you can't have, hey Ziggy, hey also Logan, and everyone else as well. Thanks for being here. You can't like, I get it, but I think something you just have to move past. Like, in some ways. Like, otherwise you just end up getting real fighty and being like big goldfish and getting kicked off Twitter.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, to be fair, I kind of like that. That's baller, that is. I'm all right with it. So, I think so. A little bit of background about me. This, to the surprise of absolutely nobody, about was it 3 or 4 years ago now? I can't remember. 3 or 4 years ago, I was diagnosed with high functioning autism. And one of the things I do with that is I have no time for people who then use it as a shield and say, hey, I did this unreasonable thing. Sorry, I'm autistic. La, 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 la. And
don't take that away from me.
I take that.
Don't take that away from me.
I have no time for that. And so one of the things I really try to do is that I'm aware that I struggle with certain things. And therefore, that makes it easier for me to notice when I could be doing them better. Right? If I know that I struggle with interpersonal communication, I can analyze that. Now, that has a tendency to make you overanalyze and then cause all sorts of anxiety-based issues. But, I mean, it's a balancing act, right?
So, but I've spoken to you about this before. I don't think you struggle with interpersonal communication at all, because you do it with me all the time.
Because I've been trying to put work into it, though, right? And that doesn't mean I'm perfect. That just means that I want to put the work in and try and improve that. And so when I try to articulate a point specifically about why you can't make the argument that someone's the best player in the world if they haven't gone to, like, more background about me. It took me 3 or 4 years to go to the WTC. And the entire reason why I wanted to go to the WTC is because I saw it as the most nails-hard tournament that you could possibly go to with all the best players.
Definitely, at least in sleeping arrangements.
Well, that's definitely true. I've seen Gaz sleep on, well, not he slept on the stairs at Stadia outside in Eastern Europe. So, yeah, 100%. But I wanted to go because I wanted to play against that, right? And that doesn't mean that John doesn't necessarily want to. He just hasn't had the opportunity because of the pandemic.
Yeah, of course.
And so I need to see that before I think you can make that argument. Because if the world stretches from the Pacific Ocean to the Atlantic, that's not the world. Right?
It's like agreed.
MLB like champion of the universe, and the universe is just like 50 states or whatever it is.
Mm.
Like this weird mentality that seems to occur in certain countries. Where are they going with that? Completely forgotten where I was going with that, but it had a point.
Well, if I can help you out, there's something in the chat says, I just think Tom is a funny cunt and I love him. And I think that's true. And that's
How can you
nice.
respond to the point I actually made, please? I never said anything about being a funny cunt. Thank you very much.
Tom, I think what's happening is that you're.
I don't know.
So a Christian says. So I think the issue is when we say things like, which you've said and I've said, something like "NA are rubbish," yeah, or like what do I say? Like I always like in Age of Sigmar chat, I always dog on Australia. Yeah, I'm like, fuck, man, like what's going on there? Like I do, right? But the thing is like I know a ton of Australian players. I've been there at least twice to cover events. Like I know them on like a level. I know how they play. Yeah. Same way like I've been over to America and I've played I haven't played all of them, but I've played some of them. And I think one of those things about that learned experience and that level of experience is you can understand that there's very different setups and different communities and a different vibe.
Yeah.
The thing that what's great about it, like I mean that's true in fucking any sport. That's true. Like the different countries have different takes and they play in different ways, right?
Yeah.
And I think you can't. All you should do is say what you think and how you feel. I think that's really important. Then you should try and apply logic where that is, and then read it. That's what I like about the stats from the Falcon, and I like those deep dives done by Goonhammer with the info, because the info's irrefutable. Maybe the opinions drawn from the info is refutable, but the information, is refutable. Irrefutable, and I think that's a really positive way to look at it. If being an analyst is really what you want, I guess the question for you, thank you to Faux Pas Fox for donating £10 to the show. That's really great. That's very much appreciated, deeply. Yeah. The question, the thing is what's your intent? Let's clear it up now. What's your intent with talking about 40k? Do you have an intent, and what is it?
It depends on what I'm talking about. So I don't have an overall intent. I just see a thing and I talk about the thing because I like talking about the thing, right? I'm coming back on that. I want to very quickly just talk about the Falcon, because I think the Falcon is one of the most underappreciated parts of the 40k community. Agreed. We talk a lot about Goonhammer and how good they are, but everyone knows about Goonhammer now. Goonhammer is just this massive website, really blown up because everyone loves it. But you only
and the content's got better.
Yeah, it's got better. Yeah, but the Falcon you only really ever see on podcasts and what have you doing his own thing, and that's not nothing. But at the same time, this guy has put so much work into his 40k stats website, which people just use the ITC Battles app and then just the monthly Goonhammer articles. This dude put in such a shift. Now, I often disagree with his opinions and what he draws from the data, but I never doubt that his opinions are sincere and that most of the time, the John Lennon point notwithstanding, they are data-based, right? Even if the conclusions from the data I don't think are things you can draw. And he genuinely deserves more credit for the work that he does, and his opinions are generally well thought out as well. So I'd really like to see more from that guy. I think he's very underappreciated.
I agreed. I could listen to him talk for basically ever. And the thing about it is I know I know his intent as well. His intent is that he just likes the game.
Man.
And I think and he watches he'll watch anything. He'll watch a stream on an iPhone from a 1,000 point tournament in Russian when no one's speaking any English and it's just static noise. He'll watch that. And I think that's one of the things about it is if you analyze it, when I turn to team stuff, I immediately turn to you and ask you a bunch of questions because I know you've been to several WTCs, which most people can't say that they've ever done. Yeah, you've played for multiple teams, which most people can't say they've done, and you've got that experience, which I think is really valuable. I think the fact is experience isn't valued though. That's something you also have to remember. Something I've had to learn. No one gives a fuck about your experience. No one cares that you've done a thing at all. No one cares. What they care about is what does the average pleb care about? They care how many YouTube subscribers you got. That's what they care about. And you can't let that phase you. It isn't important. Like it's not
Oh
valuable.
no, that's
like
fine.
who was the captain of Team England that we had on the?
This is Tony Chu. Tony Chu at the minute.
Tony Chu. Never met him before in my life. Yeah,
He's
that
brilliant.
motherfucker, smart as shit. Like
Slaps.
yeah, he fucks really hard. Like I was I was just listening. I was like, you could talk to I was like, where's his podcast? Like, and he's like, doesn't have one. But I would listen to Tony Chu's podcast, and I listen to no fucking content, like ever. Like I would listen to that because that's some really switched on shit that I would listen to time and time again, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's really easy to boil down what was frustrating me. Actually, I think it's really really easy at work. So I work in a primary school.
Yeah.
And I do a lot of my work specifically with 4 to 7 year olds. And specifically when they get to kind of the older age of about like 6 to 7, they have trouble discerning, right, this is serious time and this is playtime. So like you'll get into lineup and, some kid will just be flossing in the back of the line. You're like, you fucking stop. Like in your head, not obviously out loud. You don't say that to a kid out loud. And I feel like this is some of the issue. Often when I'm trying to make a point about something related to America, more often than not, because often they can give the banner, but they can't take it very well, just in general. When I'm trying to make a point about that, everyone kind of not everybody, but that's hyperbole again, but it kind of often devolves into the possibility of people interpreting that as, Tom's just bashing on NA again, lol. Rather than it being, I'm actually trying to make a serious point. And I think one of the things I'm trying to struggle with and trying to improve with is trying to make a clearer distinction between when I'm trying to make a serious point about the metagame in America and how Americans play. Because America is a serious region. It's got serious players in it. It has got qualities that I want to, talk about. And there are some very strong players out there. But equally, there are points I want to critique about how it plays as well. And when I do that, I want to be able to do that without it just being a meme. And I don't know how to articulate that.
Well, the thing about it is, it's such a huge we can move on to another conversation, not move on, but move into another conversation and see how that's so relevant. If we look at the media that's produced specifically, and it's all really, you really have to shout out FLG on this one. They set up their first streams, they do these large events, and then they make it so that there's so many eyes moved there. Adepticon the same. Yeah, the UK hasn't. Look at the Alliance Open. Alliance Open is a good example. Yeah, they've been working their balls off to make there be this European event. Yeah, know about it. You know about their series of events. WTC as well, but Alliance Open more regularly, and WTC hasn't had the chance because of COVID to really push itself out there. But time will tell, and that will be another group of people. But it's those initial ones, and that's why there's a lot of media around there. Yeah. And that's why you hear a lot about it. But eventually that won't be the case, and there'll be more media on from everywhere. It's mental, and this is where we can move into the conversation. The Games Workshop, before they decided to run a series of tournaments in their own country, before they even did that, they went straight to America. Yeah, that's the first place they went. So they've got these 3 events that they've done in the south of America as well.
I wonder why. What? I wonder why.
Well, because of lax COVID restrictions is why.
No,
That's exactly why. So they've gone straight there. They've moved over, so that's where they've gone, because they recognise that there's that they can push into a media hype. But that's not to say, I was on BCP yesterday, and looking at some event stuff, and there's a fucking tournament in a month in China. There's 40 players signed up. Who's talking about it?
Why is it on BCP? Why is it not on the Chinese equivalent?
Yeah.
Weibo or something.
BCP is actually how I'm trying to free everyone in the Chinese.
It's bought by Tencent. Not again. I also don't think it helps that often people like to take, when you get all this content coming out of America and that's their world, right? That's just how it is. They often like to take themselves very seriously. Do you remember that we've had in the last 20 months, every member of the Art of War, apart from Gavin or Mr. Perry or whatever his name is, has been called the best player in the world at some point? Every single one.
But
Nick
these guys put the reps
in 2019.
Oh, wow.
Siegler was in 2020. And now John is in 2021.
Yes.
Every single one. You can't keep flipping, boy. You can't keep flipping. Like, what's the evidence? Oh, whatever. So when you start building yourself up like that, I mean, I had to go, boys, come on. Like, but Mark Perry, that's it. There you go. You can't then turn around him and say, oh, well, he's just bashing Americans. It's just like, well, I mean, if you set yourself up that high, and I say, come on, be realistic. That's not me being unreasonable.
So the other thing is, you're going to have to remember is everyone's going to try and minimize your point. Like, you can't. Like, there has to be a robust nature to it because everyone is a good faith conversationalist. Like, I get this all the time. There's a particular person on Twitter, I won't name drop them, who's always trying to drag my point down. Always. Fine. Yeah. Like, and because of that, I generally tweet differently now. I'm just like, cool. I like my tweets are like 3 layers. You need to know like 3 different jokes, or you need to know some like very off-brand, like the Shards of Alagar, which is a bound endless spell. Well, it's an endless spell, and now it's a bound endless spell. At release is so fucking dumb, Tom. I wish I could explain to you in like a minute how fucking dumb that exists as a rule set. Hold on. As a rule set in a game system, yeah, right. My friend Stuart, when it came out, was like, what the fuck? And I'm like, yeah, what the fuck, right? But no one else is talking about it because no one else really fucking gets it, and it doesn't really fucking matter. And then in the Meat Watch article, where they got all the lists wrong, right at the bottom, they're like, this might be an underrated spell. I'm like, who's it underrated by? People who can't read? What world are we like? It doesn't matter, right?
I didn't get half the words in that first premise, or understand what they meant, but I understood the point and it was hilarious. So yeah, I appreciate it.
So, right. So yeah, T-Man Cash. As a Canadian, my popcorn stonks are through the roof watching the US UK. I'm the best at War Dollies chatter on Twitter. It's pure silliness. Props to Tom for trying to bring a reason and perspective to those online clowns. The thing is, Tom, like if I can. Well, like, okay.
Spicy.
My point is if we can kind of like tie the conversation up in a bow. I recognise your frustration, and Logan's in the chat, and he might be able to have a conversation with you as well, because obviously he must do the very similar thing with Street Fighter and other stuff he's been involved with. As a talking head, the conversation will always get away from you. Like, it's not controllable. The thing you have to do is just understand your own intent and make sure that you're trying to produce that effect. And then that's what's important. Like, and then the people who listen to you, like, you know, there'll be people who are like, Rob just thinks every battle tome shit, and I'm like, cool. Like so one of the YouTube thugs was like, oh, you didn't even talk about this. I was like, I spent about 45 minutes on the show before about that, but fine. Like, people aren't going to.
Here's another view. Click this link. Okay.
But the point is, you can't draw all the donkeys to water, right? And you shouldn't have to, right? Yeah. Just fill the pool up, and some people will be like, I really like this, I'll have it. Like, I think that's the thing, and that's got to be a consistent theme, because it's hard. Like, sometimes I wouldn't say it's ever thankless, because it's not thankless, because there's loads of great people who want to communicate with you, me, and all of us about this thing. And I think that's the great thing. And I think you're a good part of the culture. And like in his Twitters, like, we talk about in his Twitter all the time. That's shorthand, and he doesn't give a fuck what anyone thinks about his opinion. Yeah, right. And I think that's fairly important. I'd say. So yeah.
I think, I mean, you know me, obviously. You know, this is actually kind of cool because we actually have these kinds of conversations like offline as well, like exactly like this, but people just don't see it. And it's cool. You know that when things like this, I see things like this, I normally take it on me, and that's not me trying to tear myself down. That's me trying to find a way for me to fix it. Right? It's a good example. Like Drukhari is exactly the same thing. It's just me doing the same thing. Yeah. Like, Games Workshop could fix it. Games Workshop probably should fix it. But what can I do? You know what I mean? It's always been.
But then, what's nice? Hold on. What's nice about us, right? Not that we're brilliant, but obviously, of course, we are. Right? Is that we are everyone else. Like, I don't get anything for free, nor do you. We don't get anything advanced, nor do you. We're not playtesters. We're not involved. We are the audience. That's our voice. That's what I like most about like our position in what we do. It's a positional conversation. We're like, how do I feel that I can't get a book ahead of time? Yeah, because that's how everyone who's listening to this show fucking feels, because they can't. Like, how do I feel about the fact that AdMech are only getting, my local gaming store is only getting 5 AdMech books or whatever the situation? I feel pretty crap about that. Yeah, like, it's like when you go to a gig, yeah, there's like the box, and then there's the stand, and there's backstage. So I ran a rock club for 2 years. Do you know how many times I was ever side stage at the club? 0 fucking times. If I wanted to go to a gig, I was in the middle, yeah? And because that's where the music's best. That's where the fucking speakers are pointing. Like, that's how it works. Like, it's built for the audience. And so, like, you should just take the audience, be the audience, Tom, and then talk as the audience.
Yeah, I think my issue isn't necessarily so much like, oh, people are misinterpreting my point. I'm sad. I just don't want, or I specifically care what people think about my opinions, because I say outrageous shit all the time. Fucking looters, scramblers, all the good shit. You know what I mean? I think my issue is more when if people misinterpret it, it has the possibility for other people to misinterpret it as well, right? And people get a preconceived notion coming into the show of what we're like. Like, I often see WhatsApp groups saying, oh, be honest, Wargamer is just grumpy. It's like, we're not grumpy. We just talk about things like how we actually feel that they are. You know what I mean?
I'm grumpy some days.
It takes a lot of fucking BDE, right? To give this much shit to a game for fun and still love the game, right? And still be here, right? Like, we're here every week and we say what we actually think, even if we think this is fucking bullshit, right? And we still love and play the game.
Yeah.
You've got to love something a lot to hear that disappointed. I
don't think we have to worry. Like, and I think you should. I should like, and I think that's why what I'm most happy about is that we've had this conversation on air, right? Because I think like it's a conversation like a lot of people who make content necessarily sometimes have, or people who I was speaking to a lovely guy called the Hobby Room. Who said the Hobby Room. He used to listen to the show, and I remember I was like, I don't see his name in the chat anymore, and now like he's set up his own YouTube channel, and like he's like, I'm super happy with what I've done. I've got a really small community, but I'm really happy with it, and I'm like, cool. Like the thing is as the customer, like Logan said in the chat, you can say what the fuck you like as the customer because you're the fucking customer. That's what's great. You'd be like, this sucks, and someone like, oh no, what will you do about that? It's like, well, who cares? I love this thing. You can't stop me saying that either. Fuck them. End it, Tom, fuck them, is where I'll say.
Mate, we've got one more very big point we've got one more thing we need to talk about, Rob.
I gotta go.
And that is Twitch. It's fine. We can get it done in 5 minutes. Twitch has mandated that sexy people are no longer going to be persecuted on their platform.
It's about time that no one persecutes us for our sexiness.
Freedom! For Nick, specifically. Not for us, for Nick.
No, I don't know. I'm pretty... The Honest Wargamer hosts and chat and YouTube thugs and podcast bros.
And Valrak, he's also free.
And Valrak's like medium
he's
at
free
sexy.
From the hospital and he's free from the Twitch ban for being too sexy.
Like too sexy strong. Like Valrak's fine. He's like a 6. He's like a 6 or a 7, like a good. Like he's like hot. He's not like you, Tom. He's not Nick. Come on.
He's not Nick. He's not
Nick.
I'm sorry, Valrak. Love you. But
sorry, but just fucking deal with it.
Yeah. You're better than me, but you're not better than Nick, okay?
And to be honest, every man wants to be roughed up by Nathan Prescott, so let's...
Nathan's not even on the same tier list, mate. Nathan's
just a different...
off the page, brother.
Yeah. Right, anyway, listen, Tom, it's been lovely talking to you.
You too, mate. That was chill. Good to see you, Manny.
And then thank you to everyone on the Twitch chat and the podcast people and also the YouTube people as well. If you want to leave any comments, reach out to Tom and talk to him about it as well. That'll be really fun, about anything you want to. I think like that conversation is good. I appreciate all of you being people who we can have conversations with, and also people who 100% take everything we say out of context so that we can make jokes out of it. I also want that. So like
just click it suspiciously.
Well, the title of this YouTube will be Tom Hates All of North America, 40k players.
Not players, just as people.
Just as people. Thanks everyone for tuning in. We're not going to do a raid because I've got to run now, but I'll talk to you all soon. Have a nice day.